Welcome to today's GNA. We are discussing 5 topics. First 4 are related to the prelims and 5th one is related to the mains, right? So, first is on the Ladakh protest, second is the 5th generation fighter aircraft, third news is on the uh, intake of the medical seats has been increased, we will discuss it, and finally 4th is on the personality rights. 5th article, which is related to the mains, we will try to discuss the salt consumption in India, right? Now, first news is on the Ladakh protest. So, you might have heard about the news of the protest that erupted in the Ladakh. So, the people of Ladakh are demanding statehood and inclusion of the Ladakh into the 6th schedule area. And one of the environment activists, Sonam Wangchuk, right, called it Ladakh's Gen G revolution. Gen G revolution, like this happened in the Nepal. This is the name given by the Sonam Wangchuk ji, right. Anyways, we will try to understand what is the key issues of the protest and what is the solution to it, right. So, what basically people of Ladakh are demanding the statehood and inclusion of the Ladakh into 6th schedule area. We know that in 2019, the state of Jammu Kashmir has been separated into 2 union territories. One was the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, and second was the Union Territory of Ladakh. Accordingly, government, as per reports, media reports, government have promised to give the Ladakh full statehood and inclusion into the 6th schedule area. However, it was not materialized as of now. Hence, there is a eruption of protest. It is the version of the newspapers and all, right. Now, the key bodies involved into this protest are basically Leh Apex body, that is the LAB lab, and second is the Kargil Democratic Alliance, KDA, right. 2 bodies are there, right, and they are basically calling for the speed up of the basically concessions to be given to the Ladakh, right. That is why there is a protest. Now, we will have to understand in India how states are formed and what is the role of the 6th schedule area, which is the key demand of the protest, right. So, basically in India, states are created by the parliament. Who is the authority to create state in India? It is only the parliament who can create the states, right. Now, what are the authorities given to the parliament? Those parliament can form new state, right, can separate 2 states, right, or the union territory for that matter, can unite 2 states as well, right, or you can unite 2 union territories. So, there is a overwhelming power given to the parliament in terms of the creation of the union territory or the state for that matter, right. And it can increase the area of state as well, it can diminish the area, it can alter the boundaries of any state, or it can alter the name of the states as well. For example, few states name has been changed in the past from the Uttaranchal to the Uttarakhand, it was done as well. Who will do it? All the things will be done by the none other than the parliament, right. In the past as well, we have seen the multiple states has been created. For example, Maharashtra, Gujarat was separated in 1960s, right. Chhattisgarh, Uttarakhand, Jharkhand was created in 2000, right, and Jammu Kashmir in recently 2019. These are the few examples of the state creation by the Union Parliament, right. Procedure. So, the procedure to create state in India is complex because it needs multiple level of the approval. At first instance, what happens? Bill to create or alter the state must be introduced only after the president recommends it. So, prior recommendation of the president is needed, right. Second, what happens? If the state's area, boundary or name is affected, the proposal is sent to the affected state as well. However, their views are not binding on the union parliament oblique the government, right. And once parliament passes the bill with simple majority, we will have to understand that this bill have to be passed from the simple majority. A final assent is given by the president. President give the assent to the bills. So, this process seems quite simple, but again it is complex because there are multiple level of the approval that is needed for the creation of the state in any part of the country, right, which is apt as well. Now, what is union territories? Again, union territories are governed directly by the union government, right, as per the provisions of article 239, and president or any person appointed by the president works as an administrator of a union territory. And generally union territories do not have their own legislatures, right, except for the Delhi and the Pondicherry, which is given extra concession under article 239 subclause A, right. And Ladakh again became a union territory without legislation, and that is why they are demanding a full statehood so that the local politics can thrive and strive, right. And what are the union territories as of now in India? This is Ladakh, Delhi, Andaman Nicobar, Pondicherry, Lakshadweep, Dadar Nagar Haveli, Daman and Diu, Chandigarh, Jammu and Kashmir. So, either if you are applying for the Danix or Danips, or for that matter Agmut Kader. For all these things you will have to go in such beautiful places. That is given. That is also a motivation, right, to read the polity part or the internal security part of the Indian polity, right. Now we will have to understand about the 6th schedule area. So what are the 6th schedule area? So it allows autonomous self-government in AMTM states. What are the AMTM states? So it is Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and the Mizoram. The picture is given to you: Meghalaya, Tripura, Assam, right, and Arunachal Pradesh, right. So these are the 6th schedule area, right. So how 6th schedule area are different and who governs these areas? So basically it is the autonomous district and regional council which govern these autonomous areas, right, and each district council can have member up to the 30, right. The maximum member of these council could be 30, right, in which 26 are elected and 4 are nominated. So it's a mixed body, right. Who nominates the members? It is governor who nominates the member, right, and the members serve for the 5-year term, right. So term is 5 years. Hope it is clear to you. Now what are the power vested with these extraordinary bodies? So they can make laws and decision on local issues, for example land and forest, except minor forest, right, customary laws, for example marriage or otherwise, village administration, right, or local courts, or tribal justice is there, primary education, health, etc. These are the areas that they look after. They do have the financial powers as well. For example, they can collect local taxes and regulate money lending and trade in the area, because they are basically tribally dominated areas. Hence such kind of the protection is given to them, just to make it sure they are not exploited by the outsiders. That is the center plank of the entire discussion, to give any area this special power under the 6th schedule, right. Now why it is important? Tribal communities control and support local development. That's why it's very important. Now what is the difference between 5th schedule and 6th schedule area? So basically 5th schedule area applies to the 10 state, right, which falls outside these AMTM state, that is there in the 6th schedule, that is again Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram under article 244 subclause 2, right. Now governor centric system is there in the 5th schedule area with the tribal advisory council. At the same time in the 6th schedule area there are autonomous councils, right. Now government may direct act of the parliament state do not apply or apply with the modification in the schedule area. So it is related to the 5th schedule, and it is the 6th schedule area, it is the council laws on listed subject operate with the governor's accent. State union law may apply with the modification exceptions. So here who is more empowered? So this is the local bodies which is more important. Now pertaining to land and tenure, so governor's regulation can restrict land transfer and regulation money lending in schedule areas, 5th schedule areas. At the same time it is the council which will regulate land use, forest, that is a non-reserved, money lending and markets, protecting customary rights. Also fiscal power, in relation to the fiscal power, no distinct local tax code in the 5th schedule area is there. At the same time council can access and the land revenues and levy certain local tax in the 6th schedule area. That is the difference between the 6th schedule area and the 5th schedule area. That is why since we see the 6th schedule areas it's more empowered, they are more autonomous, Ladakh people are demanding the inclusion of the Ladakh into 6th schedule area. Now why few Ladakhi people are demanding 6th schedule area? For that we have to understand the location of the Ladakh. We have to understand from the Ladakh, we say there are 2 poles in the world, there is a North Pole and South Pole. At the same time there is another pole, that is called third pole. So Ladakh is in the core of the third pole, which is source of the fresh water for the at least 20 million Chinese people and 10 million Indian people, right. And hence it's located in the vicinity of the Pakistan and China. Its strategic importance is huge. That's why any tweaking in the status of the Ladakh should be taken with all these objectives. That is very important strategically, geopolitically or otherwise, right. Now why local people are demanding inclusion of Ladakh into 6th schedule area, let us try to understand. So protest leaders argue that 6th schedule type status would constitutionally ring fence land and job rights, right, and empower local institution in a high altitude tribal majority ecologically fragile region. So what happened? I was reading certain report. So as per those reports, government is making there some permanent body made of the concrete and all, which is not being liked by the local people, because they have the different type of the living standards, as well as the they have the different type of the, basically even the buildings they make is very different. It is suited for the local terrain and the areas. At the same time, governments is making it like one size fitting all approach it is being adopted. That's why there is some kind of the discontent that obviously government should look, and they are looking as well, right? As written in article 244(2), ties with the 6th schedule area to 4 north street is there, that is AMTM, and this can be extended to the Ladakh as well. It will protect the rights of the indigenous people. Also, what happened basically, so as per the media reports, there has been certain kind of the nexus between the locals and the local politician about the granting the special status. However, it is being delayed. That's why there is some kind of the mistrust among the different class of the people. However, what is the solution? We should be focusing on the solution rather than focusing only on the problem. What is the solution? So, first solution is obviously parliament is empowered to give the statehood. So, if there is a need, if it fits the demand and as well as our strategic or otherwise need, so we can grant the statehood to the Ladakh, right? It should be given, or we can give them the status of the 6th schedule area. Again, there will be need of the change in the parliament, that we can do it, right? Government can do it, right? Or we can give the 6th schedule area like protection status to the union territory of Ladakh, because while local people are basically having distrust or mistrust, because they are not taken into the confidence by the administrative bodies, which is based on the media report. I am not saying any side on my side, right? So, we should be taking them into the decision making process. There will be lack of basically mistrust, and hence things will be better in coming time. Or we can work on the time bound resolution of such issues, so that it should not result into the any kind of the basically chaos in the India. That is all from the this topic. Hope you enjoyed it, you got the understanding of the topic. Now try to solve the question which is given in the screen from the given information. Next news is on the 5th generation aircraft. So, what is the news all about? What is the context? So, basically India is planning to build an advanced 5th generation fighter jet, the advanced medium combat aircraft, which we call AMCA, right? AMCA, and it is basically having seeing the interest from the different section of the society. So, it came into the news. We are discussing about the different aspect of the 5th generation fighter aircraft, why India need it, right? What are the different generation of the aircraft, what is the feature, what is the feature of the 5th generation aircraft in next few minutes, right? So, it will be important for the defense and security, right, of the UPSC syllabus. Now, about the news, so what happened? So, India is planning to build an advanced 5th generation fighter jet, the AMCA, right? And for the first time, what happened? Generally, these aircraft was being made by the HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. But you might have seen the bashing of current Air Chief Marshal of the delayed project of the HAL. It was quite famous. You might have seen in reels or otherwise, right? So, for the first time, what is happening? A company that we call Larsen & Toubro, which is generally known for creating infrastructures, right, now are having keen interest in the defense manufacturing, and it is very good step and welcome step as well. Along with the Bharat Electronics Limited, that is a BEL, right, has officially shown interest in the 15,000 crore project of the AMCA, right. This is important because first time this is happening in India, that a private sector has given the space in terms of the defense manufacturing. It is critical, and it is very good step as well, because it will lead to the private organization infusion or cross pollination with the defense sector, which is largely dominated by the PSUs, right. It is a very good thing, right. Now, what is the background of the 5th generation aircraft? We will to understand. So, what are the 5th generation aircraft? For the first time, we will to understand how they are different. So, basically they are stealth, right, highly agile network jet, right, that fuses data from advanced sensors and see first strike capabilities. And India plans to build such kind of fighter aircraft through AMCA route, right. And we have already planning to make 5 prototypes, right, and parallel engine manufacturing is going on in other countries. For example, Safran is there and other countries are there, right, which is helping to make us these kind of the engines of those aircraft, right. Now, what are the features of these fighter aircraft and why we are keen on basically procuring them? So, in simple terms, these jets can hide better, right? They are quite stealth, sense more, right? They can share faster data obviously, and hit harder and deeper into the territories. For example, we know one of the weakest aspect of the Pakistan is it lacks strategic depth, right? Hardly it is 400-kilometer wide area. So, we can basically penetrate Pakistan, we can hit them hard without crossing the border, right? That we have done in recently as well. But with the help of the AMCA and all these 5th generation aircraft, we will be able to do it in better manner. And that's why there's such kind of the systems are being developed indigenously, or we are procuring them as well, right? That is the reason behind it, right? Now, what are the examples of such kind of the radars? Existing examples are there. For example, F-22 Raptor and F-35 Lightning II can be considered as a benchmark for the 5th generation. Now, you might have seen the stranded F-35 in the Kerala coast, right? We have made fun of a lot of the things of it, right? Otherwise, it was a stealth aircraft. However, we were able to so-called detect it as well, right? And Chinese J-20 and Russia's Su-57 can be considered as a 5th generation aircraft. However, Sukhoi 57 started as a 4.5 generation. And initially, we have given offer to basically jointly build Su-57 in 2018, but due to certain aspects, we were not able to carry forward the deal. However, we are procuring this Su-57 as well, as per the news from the different credible sources, right? Now, what is the India's plan to build 5th generation aircraft? So, Defence Minister approved the AMCA program execution model to develop 5th generation fighter club through ADA, right, with competitive participation from the both public and private industry, right. At the same time, the plan explicitly called for the 5 AMCA prototype, followed by series production, signaling a formal development path and industry mobilization, right. To power future fighters, the government has pursued manufacturing transfer of that technology, that we call TOT, right, for the JE engines or Safran as well, right. We are actively pursuing these kind of the technology from the different countries. Now, we have to understand what are the different generation of the aircraft and how it evolved since it's a development, right. So, we have to understand there are basically as of now 5 generation aircraft in the world. First generation was started from the late World War II and it lasted till 1950. So, they used to be the early jets with guns and primitive avionics, right. For example, F-86 and MiG-15 used to be the first generation aircraft. Now, in the second generation, the timeline lies 1950 to 1960s. It had the supersonic flight capabilities and early guided missile system. For example, F-104 Starfighter and MiG-21, right, which we have recently retired. So, it was second generation aircraft, MiG-21 Bison, right. You might have seen the pictures of the retirement of the MiG-21 Bison, right. Third generation aircraft basically was developed during the 1960s to 1970s. It had the multi-role capabilities, offensive as well as defensive capabilities, and grows with the better radar and the missile. For example, F-4 Phantom and Menace 3 used to be the third generation aircraft, right. Now, coming to the 4th generation aircraft, they are highly agile, fly-by-wire system is there, pulse Doppler radar is there, and beyond visual range missiles are there. For example, F-60 of the Pakistan we know, MiG-29 of India, we can say MiG-29 MKI, Mirage 2000 that we uses. So, these are the 4th generation aircraft which is largely operational in India. Now, coming to the 4.5 generation aircraft, it started its production in 1990s, lasted till 2010. They have ASA radar, limited stealth, advanced electronic warfare system, sensor fusion. For example, Rafale is 4.5 generation aircraft, Eurofighter Typhoon is again 4.5 generation aircraft. These are the example of 4.5 generation aircraft. Now, we are coming to the 5th generation aircraft, which started its development during the late 2000, and at present we are on the 5th generation mode, right. They are stealth, they have the deep sensor, there is a better data fusion, they secured networking and super cruise in design like F-22 Raptor or J-20 Su-57 can be considered as a 5th generation aircraft. Now, what is the future of the aircraft? So, it lies in the 6th generation, which is in a development phase. It can have the concept of like man unmanned teaming can be there, advanced AI capability can be there, right, adaptive engines can be there. So there are multiple features that different countries are building. As of now, our focus is on the development of the 5th generation aircraft, right. So I hope the concept of the 5th generation aircraft, its development and its feature are clear to you. Now based on this information, try to solve these the question which is displayed in the screen, and try to put your answer on the comment box. Next news on the cabinet approved medical education expansion. What happened yesterday? Union cabinet chaired by the Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi has approved phase 3 of the centrally sponsored scheme for strengthening and upgradation of existing state government colleges, central government medical colleges, and a standalone PG institution of the government or otherwise, right. So it's very important news. It will come into the health aspect of the UPSC, right. So you can look for such kind of the aspect or social issues, right. Now what is the context? We have given the context. Now what is the scheme all about? So the scheme plans to add 5,000 postgraduate seats, very good numbers, because generally the PG seats are very minuscule in India, right. At the same time, 5,023 undergraduate, that is the MBBS seat in the different medical colleges, and a huge amount has been allocated for the same, right. And it is a centrally sponsored scheme. So we will try to understand what is CSS. So basically, centrally sponsored schemes are funded jointly by the center and the state and implemented through the state, right. So who implement sponsor it? So center as well as the state, but who implement it? It is the state in sectors following the state and concurrent list, right. So health is again the same on the same list. That's why we are calling it centrally sponsored scheme, right. What is the feature of the CSS? The current framework of the CSS is based on the report by the subgroup of the chief ministers on rationalization of CSS, which was basically brought in 2015, right. And central sector scheme are implemented and financed directly by the central government. Who implement it and monitor it? It is the central government. This is a central sector scheme that central government uses, and currently there are 676 CS central schemes. So you can see type of the CSS. There is the core scheme, core of the core schemes, and optional schemes. So there are different definition of it. So what is the benefit of such schemes? So first will be the increased doctor availability. We have seen there is at least 5,000 new seats at the UG as well as the PG level. Obviously, more doctor will be there in the coming future, which is good sign for the India's health system, right. Second will be the improved healthcare quality, which is very much related to the health quality, obviously, right. Now there will be better healthcare access. Then it will be cost effective as well, and there will be balanced regional development as well. We have seen there are few part of the India which is having a sufficient number of the doctor as prescribed by the WHO. At the same time, you will see in the far-flung area, the patient to doctor ratio is very low, right, which is not recommended by the WHO. That is why now in the future there will be parity in this thing. Also, there will be more employment generation. 5,000 new doctors will be coming. Those will be youth, and they will get job as well, because they are quite in demand. And finally, it will boost India as a healthcare hub. We are known as a pharmaceutical hub of the world. We are known as our healthcare system as well, which is very affordable. It will make our healthcare system more affordable in coming futures. That is the benefit of it. Now, what is the implementation details? Now, guideline for the implementation will be released by the Minister of Health, Family Welfare, right. The scheme promotes strong collaboration between the center and the state to ensure healthy distribution and infrastructure upgrades. Now, what is the background of the entire news? So, what happened? India is currently having 808 medical college, which is highest in the world, right, with the intake of more than 1,23,700 MBBS students, which is sufficient number, but it is not sufficient given the fact India's population is one of the top in the world in coming time, right. Over the last 10 years, the country added over 69,352 MBBS seats, which is akin to the 127% growth, right, and at least 43,041 PG seats with the 143% growth in India as well. There is a constant growth in the number of the seats at the UG level as well as the PG level. Despite this growth, certain regions still faces shortages. This scheme addresses gap in demand, access and affordability. And new medical institution regulation 2015 were introduced to improve the faculty recruitment with a competency based approach. right? And government also support 22 new aims under Pradhan Mantri Swasth Suraksha Yojana. So, this is the backgrounder of the entire information. Now, what is the long term impact of all these things? It will strengthen India's universal health coverage. It will address the healthcare need of the rural, tribal and the hard to reach communities as well as the area. It will also support India's socio-economic development parameters by improving health systems, and it will enhance India's global competitive in the world. This is the all aspect of the new scheme. Now, there is a question given on the screen. Based on the discussed information, let us try to solve this and give your answer in the comment box. Next news is on the personality right. So, you might have seen Anil Kapoor, who is an actor, on the Times front page, right? You might have seen there was a case as well. The word used by the Anil Kapoor, the jhakas, or the word used by the Big B, hai, or for that matter the song sung by Arjit Singh or any such personalities. There are multiple cases. So, Rajesh Sharma ji's video has been basically circulated in the masses promoting one Ayurvedic medicine related to the leg pain. These are the basically AI generated videos, and hence it basically created a new kind of the right that we call personality right in the modern system. And since our constitution is very live one, right, we try to adopt to the changing circumstances. This personality right become one of the important discussion point, which will come obviously in the polity and constitution part of the syllabus as well as in the social aspect as well. Now, what is the concept, basically context of it? So, personality rights protect an individual's control over the personal identity, attributes such as name, image, voice, signature, mannerism, poses and other recognizable trait, right. For example, Rajni is very famous one, right. So, now more about the news. So, basically personality right protect an individual's control over the personal identity, right. These rights aim to prevent unauthorized commercial exploitation. I have given the example Rajesh Sharma's voice and videos being used for promotion of one of the Ayurvedic medicine, which was wrong, right, and which misuses personality one's persona as well, right. Now, there are two components of the personality right. First is the right to privacy and second is the right to publicity. Right to privacy controls over personal information protection against intrusion. At the same time, right of publicity protects the commercial right over the use of one's identity, right. Now, what are the constitutional legal framework for the protection of personality right? So, it is not explicitly codified as of now in our constitution. However, they are primarily derived from the Article 21 and the landmark Puttaswamy judgment. It's a very famous one which came into 2017, right. It is also a right to privacy is recognized as a fundamental right protecting personal autonomy and dignity, right. Not only that, there are legal provisions, for example, the Copyright Act 1957 and the Trademark Act 1999, which provide indirect protection through the concept like passing off and the deception relevant to misuse of the identity. Now, what are the key Supreme Court judgment related to the personality right? So, one is as R. Rajagopalan versus State of Tamil Nadu 1994, which establishes privacy before the Puttaswamy case, right. And second is the ICC Development Limited versus RV Enterprises and Anil Kapoor versus Simply Life India, in which Anil Kapoor claimed that his face and his jhakas word should not be misused by anyone except for the Anil Kapoor, and it became quite famous one, right. Now, what is the protection provided to the such personality in digital era when you can give some command prompt to the any new tools, AI tools, and the picture and video can be generated. So, yes, court issues stay and take down orders time to time due to the unauthorized use of the personality or otherwise, or injunctions are added which not just prevent monetary harm, but also brand dilution, loss of the reputation and unwanted association. Not only that, judicial reasoning is increasingly recognized unique attribute, for example, voice or the gesture or the likeness, right, as a property. For example, Amitabh Bachchan, his personality or this is voice, Rajnikant, his attributes, right. So, these are recognized gradually, and it provides damages and criminal liability as well to the offending person. These are the aspect of the basically personality right in digital era. Now, what is a balance between the free speech and the right to privacy, right? So, court regularly balances personality right against the right to free speech, right? Artistic expressions, satire, parody often lead to the nuanced judgment to ensure that injunction do not stifle the legitimate commentary or creative work. So, there is a somehow balance in terms of the privacy, right to the privacy and freedom of expression. Now, what are the new challenges? Deepfake is new challenge. AI generated image provides new kind of the threats. So, anyone who is threatened by all these things should work proactively. They should basically bring in the matter to the matter of the authorities, and accordingly it can be resolved, right? Now, from the given information, let us try to solve the question which is given on the screen. Hopefully, you will be able to solve this. Answer your comment in the comment box. Now, there is a editorial coming into the Hindu. It is related to the basically use of the salt, right? So, you might have heard about very famous dialogue, एक चुटकी सिंदूर की कीमत तुम क्या जानो बाबू, right? Some babu was there. At the same time, we will have to realize the might of one chutki extra namak, right? So, एक चुटकी नमक की कीमत तुम क्या जानो, ठीक है ना? So, it is related to basically health aspect, right, of the our syllabus. Now, what is happening? So, salt consumption which is unregulated is becoming a public health issue in India, because there is a rise of non-communicable diseases. For example, cardiovascular disease, you might have seen multiple cases of the heart attack, right, or diabetes you might have seen, or you have seen the blood pressure issues or the cancer. These are non-communicable diseases which is not being spread by the touching or anything else. At the same time, there are communicable diseases, for example, sneezing and all. They are basically spread through the touch and all, but these are lifestyle diseases. This is considered as, and one of the aspect of this lifestyle disease is blood pressure, or generally we call it hypertension, right? Now, why these non-communicable diseases are rising in India? So, because of the high salt intake, or for that matter high sugar or high fat diet are also directly linked with the rise of non-communicable diseases that we have already described. For example, hypertension, kidney dysfunction and all, right? Now, as per the data, among the Indian adults, on average we consume 11 grams of the salt daily, which is 5 to 6 like it is twice the recommended dose. So, WHO recommends 5 to 6 gram a day. At the same time, we are consuming at least 11 grams a day, was more than the double, right? Almost double, right? So, basically, and the majority of these excess salt is in hidden form. For example, we use the pickles, we use papad, we use snacks, we use packaged food. All these contain high amount of the salt, because salt work as a preservative. That is why it is very cheap and very solution centric basically entity which can prevent the basically destruction of any food material. Now, how salt intake is related to the high BP, we will have to understand what happens. So, how high sodium causes water retention. Generally, sodium is water loving, right? So, if it is in our arteries or the vein, it will attract water from the outside, right? It will attract water from the outside. If water is attracted from the outside, what will happen? The volume in the artery will be increased as well, and this increase in volume of the artery is known as the high blood pressure. I am giving you very simplistic basically explanation of this high blood pressure. Now, how this high blood pressure affect our body? So, you might have seen the cases of the blood pressure or heart attack, right? You might have also seen about the paralysis on all. What happened? Whenever there is a thickening of the arteries or there is a extra pressure of the blood flow in the artery, what happened? Let us suppose, we will give you an example. Let us suppose this is a road, right? And this road is encroached by one samosa wala, right? And someone parked one vehicle as well here, right? And someone installed one fruit juice here as well. So, if you are passing by this thing, you will face some kind of the hindrance in terms of traffic. However, let us suppose you will have to go office on the time, you will have to reach the office on the 10 o'clock, and these are the obstruction which is there on the road. You will rush to reach the office on the time, but you will see such kind of the basically obstruction as well. So you will try to push this kind of the obstruction, and when you are pushing this kind of the obstruction, they will come out from the road, right. So this is the again simplistic basically description how this paralysis or the heart attack or for that matter other things occurred, right, because there is a thickening of the blood vessel, there are certain kind of obstruction, but the blood will rush, and when the blood will rush it will ooze out from the arteries or the vein, resulting the attack and all, right. This I am giving you example just to understand the things. Now we have seen what are the different aspect of the sodium intake. Obviously it is bad for health. What we can do, just we should be following one very common basically sense, that we should preconceive ourselves as a suffering from the high blood pressure or hypertension and the diabetes. So if we preconceive ourselves as a suffering from the blood pressure and the intake, resulting we have to reduce salt consumption as well as we will have to reduce the basically sweet consumption in our dietary pattern, right. Once we are basically reducing it, we will be prevented from all kind of the non-communicable disease, which is very lethal kind for basically health as well, right. However, we will have to understand there are visible and invisible criminals behind such kind of the rise in the salt intake. For example, we generally put this extra salt sprinkler on our food tables. We should not be putting, right. And salt is being used as a preservative. Just try to avoid any packaged food. For the student is very important. Even for UPSC there are certain criteria. If you are not following these criteria, you will not be qualified during the medical examination, which just come after the interview. So what is the benefit of giving the interview if you are not a healthy person? So you should be checking all these dimensions of your health, and you should avoid eating junk food, you should avoid eating packaged food, you should avoid excessively ordering the foods from the online platform, because these all things contain extra salt, extra fat and extra sugar, right, and it's very bad for health, right. Now we have already discussed what is the impact of these kind of the extra salt, hypertension, heart diseases, kidney failure, all these happens due to all these things, right. Now what is the current scenario in the social context? We have generally cultural practices of using salt shakes, right, eating outside food which is often salt infused, right, and there is a public perception that these are the Navratra time. So we generally consume the Himalayan black salt or the rock salt, right, which is considered healthy, but nothing is the case, right. They also contain this criminal that we call sodium, and whenever there is a sodium, there will be chances of the hypertension and all, right. So what is the alternative to resort to the low sodium diet, right, or resort to the low sodium salt, right. Obviously this Himalayan pink salt or others carries some minerals which can be beneficial, but even if you are consuming these salt excessively, it is not good for the health, right. Now India's population is particularly vulnerable due to high prevalence of the non-communication disease and the salt heavy diet. So what is the parameter of the blood pressure and all? So generally it is like 120/80, right. It is based on the US parameters. At the same time in the Europe there is a different parameter, they consider like 130 to the 90 is very healthy one. So either one is incorrect, so we will have to come to the middle ground. If you are having a blood pressure which is 125/80, it is considered very good one, right, not good one, it should be within the range, but it is not in the danger zone, right. You should be try to keep your blood pressure and all below this benchmark, right. Most likely it is the 122/80, which is a very good condition, and in normal healthy male or female should have. Female are generally having bit 1 or 2 point lower than the 120/80, right. So you should be able to understand, and a regular checkup after 18 year of age is considered good. You can check your blood pressure once in a year at least after 18 year age, and after 40, like we will be advancing in the 40s, we should be going for the regular blood checkup every 3 months or 4 months, right. It is good for the overall health being. Now what is the solution for all these things? So first is the public awareness and behavioral interventions. So we'll have to give the labels and warning. For example, sugar board will have to create, right. So that they can do the warning and all. FSSAI is a good institution, but it is not effective in controlling all kind of the foods which is highly infused with the salt or the sugars, right. We should be creating. Then we should be creating campaign just in order to discuss with the bad impact of these kind of the foods, right? And we should be having the informed choices and nutritional warning on the packaged food, which can help people to reduce invisible salt intakes, or other basically fresh fruit and the green vegetables should be increased in our diet, right? Also, there need to salt reduction policy and the industry. For example, in the procurement and standards, government and hospitals should mandate low salt meal and reform procurement policies for public program. For example, midday meals and all, right? Enforce labeling. We need to make it compulsory for the producers to display salt content in the food packs as in the Chile and other countries, right? Packaged food reform, this is urgent need of our, for example, there are multiple snacks which is available in the packaged form. They generally contain high fat, high sugar, high salt. So, we need to regulate them. We have the example as well. Chile is a country. So, they have regulated it, and they have regulated in very good manner, resulting overall healthy population, which will ultimately help into the economic generation and GDP as well, right? Now, what is the role of the community and family? So, kitchen practices, we should be avoid adding extra salt. So, whatever salt is there in your food, it is sufficient. Don't try to make it like extra adding of table top salt and all, right? Just try to avoid. Children should be not be given the extra salt at all, right? From the beginning, they should not be given this kind of a thing. Now, we need to do the clinical advice as well, right? In the public parks and the common places, we should be having the BP machine, or you can buy a digital one. You can evaluate it from the time to time, right? And in the schools and community meals, there should be a reduction in the sodium rich diet, right? And we'll have to again work on the international best practices. Child, we have given already example, which have made a mandatory warning label on the high salt food, right? What is the roadmap ahead for these kind of the preventive diseases which you can work on? So, India have our own national multi-spectral action plan. We have NMAP at the work. It is basically having the 2017 and 22 timeline. However, it is still working, right? Now, Union Ministry of Health and Family Welfare is working on national plan for the salt reduction, emphasizing not just lowering the intake, but involving all stakeholders, for example, regulators, FSSAI, or otherwise food manufacturers, healthcare workers, families, consumers. At the same time, effective change will require multi-sectoral action, ongoing regulatory monitoring, and community and school-based intervention. That is all on this topic. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you are more aware and you are more informed citizen, right? So, keep your health on the check, which is very important. Not let's try to solve this question which is displayed on the screen, which says that excessive salt consumption has emerged as a silent but significant public health issue in India. Discuss its linkages with non-communicable diseases. Evaluate the socio-cultural factors behind high salt intake in India, and suggest multi-sectoral strategies for effective salt reduction. You have to write in 250 word and marks will be 15, right? Hope you will write the good answer on it, right? Given we have tried to cover it comprehensively. Thank you.